Okay, so we're starting lesson 3-7, part 2. We're just going to continue with linear transformations. I have all the rules for each of the transformations up here. We've already gone over those in part 1. They're just for your reference when you're doing your homework or if you need a refresher. We just finished part 1, so you should be able to do this practice what we know section. So what I want you all to do is try to do this on your own. By yourself without help from anyone, see as far as you can get, and then we'll come back and check it and move on. All right, so everybody should be working on this right now by yourself. So I'm going to pause the video for this. Okay, so this is what you should have gotten for your equations and your lines. Yeah, it does get a little bit confusing sometimes, but just that's why I said in the last set of notes, you need to be precise. You need to use a ruler. Any questions? Okay, so maybe get another one.
Yeah, that would be the
Okay, so we're now on page 2, and the rest of this lesson, I think, for the most part, is writing. You're going to name the rule that is taken place in each one of these. So let's look at example 1. It says, if the line f of x equals 2x plus 3 is reflected over the x-axis and compressed by a factor of 1/2, write the equation of the new line. Okay. So what is the reflection rule that we know? What do you have to do with the equation when you reflect it over the x-axis? Anyone? Multiply everything, the entire function, by -1. Okay. So go ahead and write that for your reflection rule. And on the side in orange, you'll see that I wrote out, let's see. I wrote out what the new function would be after that because I was trying to keep track of what I was doing. Some of you may not need to do that, and that is okay. Yeah. Okay, can somebody tell me what the compression rule is if I'm going to compress by a factor of 1/2? Luke? You multiply the slope by 1/2. And when I do that, I'm multiplying -2 times 1/2, and I get -1x minus 3. So that would be my equation. Okay. And so this is what we're doing with each one of these. And we'll do a few together, and then I'll have you do some on your own. Okay, let's go to the next one. If the line f of x equals -3x minus 1 is stretched by a factor of 3 and translated down 5 units, write the equation of the new line. So what is our stretch rule? Somebody different was not answered yet. Mason. Yes, you multiply the slope by 3. Okay. And then can someone tell me what the translation rule is? So in this case, what are we going to do? Yes, we're going to subtract 5 from the y-intercept, or I put from b, because that's just shorthand for me. So when I take my -1, my original y-intercept, and I subtract 5, I get a -6. So your new equation is -9x minus. Mhm. Okay, example 3 is just one rule, it's a stretch rule, so I want you to write the rule and the new equation on your own for example 3. Okay, there's a mistake on here. This right here should be compressed. Oh yeah, then this would be the compressed rule. Or compression. Okay. Thank you for that. So what is the compression rule? Claire? Multiply the slope by 1/2. And does someone want to tell me our new equation? Noah? Yes. Okay. So what I would like you to do is I want you to do examples 4 and 5 on your own. And then you'll come back and check them with mine. And then we'll move on to the next page. So I'm going to give you about 3 minutes. Okay, there was another mistake on here, so change stretch to compressed. And stretch rule to compression rule. Okay, is there anyone still working on example 4? Okay, so here is example 4, check your work.
Yes.
What? Oh, the timer. Okay. Yep. Why? Why? Not you. Okay, anyone still working on 5? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put 5 up here. Don't look if you're still working. So when I had originally done this, I forgot to put in a translation rule. So the translation rule is in between the stretch and reflection. Plus add 3 to the, oh, goodness me. Goodness me. So this is 3, 3. So then, let's see, I multiplied it by 1/4 and I got 4, no, 2. Then I added 3 and I got 2x plus 3. Then I multiplied the slope by -1 and I got -2x plus 3. Okay, so that should be a 3. All right. Okay, so we're gonna move on to page 3. And on page 3, we are now looking just at the equations and we're trying to figure out what transformations were made from f of x to g of x. So if I go from 1/3 to x, what happened here?
Multiply.
And what did I multiply by?
3.
3. So when we multiply a slope by a number greater than 1, what are we doing? What did you say over here? Somebody said it. Yeah, it's a stretch. So we stretched by a factor of 3. Right. And then what else happened? So our y-intercept also changed. What did we do with our y-intercept? Yeah, we did. Huh?
Translated,
Mhm.
translated it, 10, like,
Close. 8. Translated up 8 units. Okay. Okay. 7. Let's look at the slope. Yes. Okay, we did reflect it over which axis? Over the y, because we only multiplied the slope. So we reflected across the y-axis. And then we translated it down. No, we translated it up 2 units. We have to look at the y. So when you're working with these types of problems, you want to look at what you did to the slope and look at what you did to the y-intercept. And then those will be your transformations. Now, one of them that might be, let me look at the next one. One of them might be different when you're looking at, when your slope changes from a positive to a negative, you've reflected, but also it could be a compression or a stretch. So you have to look at that. So what's happening to our equation, our slope in example 8? It is reciprocal, but what did we multiply the slope by?
1/4.
By 1/4? Yeah, we multiplied it by 1/4. So we compressed by a factor of 1/4, because remember, when you multiply it by a number between 0 and 1, it's a compression. And then what did we do to our y-intercept? Mason? We did translate, but when you go from a -7 to a -10, down 3. Translated down 3. Okay, what I want you to do is we're going to pause for a minute. I'm going to have you do examples 9 and 10 on your own, and then we'll come back. Okay, so go ahead and check examples 9 and 10. So on 9, we went from a +1/2 to a -4. So because we multiplied this slope by a negative, then we know we reflected it across the y-axis. It could be the x-axis if we also multiplied the y-intercept by a negative and then translated it down 1. But we're just going to look just solely at the negative. And then it stretched by a factor of 8 because we multiplied 1/2 by 8 to get 4. And then it translated up 5 units because we went from a -2 to a +3. All right. Example 10, we multiplied the 6 and the 5 both by a negative, and that means that we reflected it over the x-axis. All right, let's go ahead and move to page 4. All right. So on page 4, the first thing that you need to do is you need to get the slope and the y-intercept at both of these lines. And then we're going to analyze the transformations that were taking place. Okay. So I want you to take line F and line G, line F and line G, get the slope and the y-intercept, and I want you to do that for both examples 11 and 12, and then we will come back and check those before we analyze the transformations. Okay, for example, 11, line F has a slope of -0.5 and a y-intercept of 0. And line G has a slope of 1 with a y-intercept of 3. If you don't have these, go back and check your lines. And the first thing we're gonna do is analyze the slope of line F and how it was changed from line F to line G. So, I can see that two things happened here. One, we multiplied it by a -1 to get a positive. And I can also see that we multiplied it by a 2 to get 1. So the slope of line F was changed to make the graph of line G by multiplying it by a -2. And that transformation included a reflection and a stretch.
Would you please send Shelby to the front office for dismissal?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
All right, so now let's look at the y-intercept. The y-intercept was moved up 3 units. So we added 3 to B. And the transformation was a translation. Okay, for example 12, I want you to check the slopes and the y-intercepts of these, and then I want you to try example 12 on your own. And then we'll come back and check those. Okay, so go ahead and check your rules and your transformations. You'll notice from F to G, we multiplied by -1, so that is a reflection. And then this would be across the y-axis. And then it could be across the x if we went from a positive to a negative here, but we're just gonna go across the y for right now. And then on the y-intercept, we went from 2 to a -4, so we subtracted 6 from B, and that is a translation, 6 units down. Okay, so that concludes lesson 3-7, part 2 notes.